if this conflict continues for a few more months, while there's lots of talk about a final deal getting signed, but this deal has three parties: U.S., Israel, and Iran, and it's only the U.S. which is talking about it, not Iran and Israel about it. No news coming from their end. If this goes on for some more time, what is the kind of impact that you see on the earnings? Because that's something we almost at the end of first quarter, we are going to see a second order impact of inflation also coming through at some point in time. You have CPI numbers expected for the month of May, which will be more than 4%. So how do you look at that on the companies' profitability, margins, and as a result of overall earnings growth?
First quarter numbers are going to be damaged when we compare this first quarter numbers compared to the fourth quarter of last year. So fourth quarter numbers were very, very good, especially for the broader markets per se, where you saw the mid cap grow by north of 40%, small cap grew by north of 25%, large cap NSE 100 grew by around 14-15%. So earnings were very good for the fourth quarter. That's not to be extrapolated for the first quarter. But what is likely to happen is that if we have a resolution by the end of any time between now and let's say September 30th, 2026, then this first quarter numbers could be likely seen as a one-off, because all hinges on collapsing of the oil prices, because that is the main source of inflation apart from your very weak monsoon. These are the two major items which are weighing on our inflation numbers predominantly. And I think if oil was to fall, below 85-90, then we'll have that problem looked upon as a one-off for the first quarter, and then resumption of the journey of around 12 to 13% earnings growth for the Nifty 50 for the remaining part of the year. If not, then obviously there's going to be damage on earnings per se. If let's say oil is between $90 and $120, if this resolution doesn't happen, maybe we are not going to see that big an impact from a currency standpoint, because currency, I think, at 97 has probably bottomed out. We are likely seeing rupee at 93, 94. So imported inflation component is likely to wither down on account of currency, but oil remaining between 90 and 120, will be taken care of between now and September. If it continues beyond that and oil flares beyond 120, then we have a serious problem on earnings for the rest of fiscal 27. But right now it is a one-off for the first quarter.
Manish, interesting that you said that, when we're talking about 15 plus earnings growth for the benchmark, we were looking at oil at $65, and now we are saying that between 90 and 120, if oil remains, it won't have much of an impact on the earnings?
No, it will. Basically, on the base case scenario of 15% before the crisis to after the crisis, this Nifty 50 earnings numbers have come down to 12-13% according to us. And this builds in a damage to earnings for the first quarter. But if this war prolongs beyond, let's say, 30th of September, and there's no visible solution, then obviously earnings are likely to traject even downward from the base case scenario of around 12-13%. Right now, the base case scenario is that we are probably close to somewhere near the settlement. So first quarter damage to earnings is likely to be a one-off, and resumption of the growth journey on earnings for Nifty 50 will likely be from the second quarter onwards. So today, that's the base case scenario. Of course, everything hinges on the fact that you have a resolution in that backdrop. You'll have oil below 90 or at about 90 as the base case scenario, and that should be basically taking care of the earnings for the remaining 3